So it's not an organization that is based on a treaty or a convention. It is a task force which was established in 1989 by the then G7 to prevent money laundering worldwide. That was the origin of the GAFI. So it was actually established for a good reason, to prevent that drugs cartels or human traffickers or illegal arms trade and the money coming out of that could enter, let's say, the international financial world, right? Then after 9/11, the Americans decided that the FATF, being a task force, so you can really put them to task to do something immediately and fast, should also be the mechanism to prevent terrorism financing. And the Americans pushed for that because they had classified information that the financing of the attacks on the Twin Towers and the Pentagon was actually facilitated by charities. In 2014, the then Obama government formed a coalition of 66 countries worldwide with the objective to push back on the finances of IS. So pushing back on ISIS and their revenue sources, where do they get the money from? You need to have an instrument to regulate, let's say, the trade in oil, the trade in artifacts with ISIS. Who would that body be? The FATF. And it turned out that when this coalition started their work, there were 5 countries in the world that did not have specific terrorism financing laws or regulations. Brazil was one of the countries that did not have the terrorism financing law. So it was actually driven by the IS coalition, where the FATF was the mechanism to push what the coalition wanted to have, right? Cutting back all the possible, let's say, mechanisms and actors that could work with ISIS to earn money to keep their state going. And that was what happened in 2014, 2015. And that was what triggered the Brazilian terrorism law. If we look at what the anti-ISIL coalition wanted or what the FATF wanted, it's not to criminalize social movements. It's how the Brazilian authorities actually, I would say, use this opportunity to have an overbroad law. But it's not actually what the FATF wanted. It's the interpretation by the government. If you look at the original text of the recommendation 8, but that's the recommendation that is about civil society, about non-profits. In their opinion, it's about organizations that are at risk for becoming abused for terrorism financing. This is not the whole universe of NPOs, right? This is a specific subset that are at risk, and the government has to show who is at risk. It's a very, very important, let's say, emphasis in the new recommendation. So only NPOs at risk, show the evidence. The measures should be proportionate to the risk. If a government already has measures in place to deal with the risk of such NPOs, if there's already good law in place, if there's good regulations in place, if there are type of policies in place, don't come up with new ones. The FATF does not want it. But the governments need to make that case, why they decide so, right?